Happy Memorial Day out there to everybody here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and wherever you may be listening to this show. This is the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, the field of 64 has been revealed. The regionals are set. We will do a deep dive into the regionals as we're going to be joined by none other than SEC Unfiltered's Chris Phillips. That's all ahead on this edition of the Stingray Show. Guys, we've got a ton to cover this evening, so let's get things rocking and rolling.
Reminder, those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee.
You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, I mean, look, no.
Heath, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, to everyone in Tuscaloosa listening here on Tide 100.9, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And Heath, with all of that, we want to welcome you inside yet another edition of the Stingray Show. Happy Memorial Day, my co-host.
Thank you, Stephen. You know, hey, live free or die, the state slogan for New Hampshire, right? Hey, thank you for all those that served and paid the ultimate, price and the ultimate sacrifice. Listen, everyone that's listening to this show, we got to enjoy something today. We get to enjoy sports or this radio show, college baseball, the SEC, whatever it might be. But you got to enjoy freedoms, whether that's cooking out, swimming, having fun with family, because someone paid the ultimate sacrifice. Men and women paid that. Yes. Thank you to all those that came before us. Thank you to the ones that are serving now. Thank you to the ones that served. But thank you, and I hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day.
So, Heath, well said right there. So let's go on ahead and touch on the national day of today. And obviously it is Memorial Day, but it is also National Grape Day.
I had some grapes yesterday. Stephen, do you like the dark grapes or the lighter green grapes?
It doesn't matter to me. Just as long as they are sweet, I like them.
There you go. Okay.
It is also National Grape Popsicle Day.
I got bomb pops on my shirt, man. I got this for Father's Day last year. I get multiple compliments about my bomb pop shirt every time. But are you a big popsicle fan, Stephen?
I am, yes.
And your favorite flavor is?
Chocolate. I'm a chocoholic, just like you.
Yeah. Popsicle-wise, I'm going to go with the orange one. I love the orange.
Yes. So, Heath, dating back to 1935, on this day, on May the 27th, the San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge officially opened to pedestrian traffic.
Pedestrian traffic. Have you ever been across the Golden Gate? That's a long bridge.
I have not. Have you?
Yeah, I've been over it. I've only been to San Francisco once, but I've been over that bridge I think twice. Dude, walking that thing is going to take you a long time.
Yes.
Wow. I do know this. I learned this in third grade. Once they start painting it, it's international orange, the same colors as San Francisco Giants. That's where they get the orange from their uniforms.
Yes.
And the black for the Giants is for the black water that the bay is there. But it takes them 7 years to paint that bridge, and the people that do it, once they finish, they have to start back over. It's time to start at the beginning. So they never stop painting the bridge. It's always being painted. Isn't that awesome?
That's crazy, man. So, on the national birthdays today, We have Cornelius Vanderbilt, the railroad tycoon. We've got Wild Bill Hickok, the frontier and the lawman, was born back on this day in 1837, I should say. We've also got the birthday of one Vincent Price, the actor known for well known for all of his horror and suspense movies. So Vincent Price was born on this day back in 1911.
And also did that little ditty for the Thriller album, Michael Jackson's song Thriller.
Yes. Also, avid golfer back in 1912 of Sam Snead. He is born on this day, like I said, back in 1912.
And I think he won more golf tournaments than any other person that's ever picked up a club. I think he won more than anybody. I think he still holds that record.
So, Heath, unfortunately, we did have a little bit of a heartbreaking thing that happened earlier today. Hall of Famer Bill Walton, the coach there of 2 NCAA titles with UCLA, unfortunately, he passed away earlier this morning at 71 due to cancer.
Man. Bill Walton loved life. I made a little post about him on Instagram and Facebook. He loved life. He loved music. He loved basketball. Every time you saw Bill Walton, he always had a smile on his face.
Oh, yeah.
Never met Bill Walton, but he always seemed like a good dude. Always seemed like he was happy.
Yes.
I think
so our thoughts and prayers are definitely with everybody surrounding Bill Walton. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, I think I'm going to listen to a little Grateful Dead just for Bill.
That's awesome, man. All right, so going ahead briefly and give me your thoughts about the round of 64 in the regionals because they were set just earlier.
I love postseason baseball. I can't wait for postseason baseball. I think this is going to be not just a fun tournament. I think we're going to have some extra fun in this tournament. I think that if I had to guess, I'm only going to go with 3 teams making Omaha. But I think there's a possibility that 5 could sneak in there. But I'm not gonna press my luck on that. I know we've had 4 a bunch of times, but yeah, Stephen, we're gonna get into this later in the show. But we got buffoons on the committee, and I say it in basketball every single year. You want idiots on the selection committee because if they get it right, it leads to a boring tournament. If they do it right and seat everybody right, that means there's not any upsets. But when you have buffoons on the committee and they get it all wrong, and trust me, this one did. I mean, this is going to be a extra fun tournament. It is going to be over the top fun, super fun, whatever you want to put, whatever adjective you'd like to add. It's going to be big time fun because this selection committee, complete doofuses. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. So Heath, before we go to break, I do want to ask you, give me your thoughts on Mississippi State not hosting.
Well, I thought Duke should have gotten it before Mississippi State. I'll say that. Duke made a run. I think Mississippi State had a better season, but Duke is the hotter team.
Yeah.
And I think Duke well deserved it. I have no earthly idea why Arizona or San Diego was considered. This is just wrong what the NCAA did, especially to Duke. If you're going to give it to Arizona, fine, but you shouldn't take it away from Duke. But San Diego, I'm like, for real though. But hey, we talked about that on that show, on our show here a week ago with Steve Robertson. I asked Steve, do you think they'll give more presence to the West Coast? He thought Oregon State would be the only one. That's the reason I asked, because I thought that the NCAA always likes to add. They want to quote unquote grow the game.
Yeah.
And so buffoonery, just buffoonery.
And what does the NCAA stand for, Heath?
Nobody cares about athletes. Thank you, Ron Polk. Coach Polk gave us that great quote. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, though. It is going to be super fun. I cannot wait for the tournament to get started. Hey, before we go to break, there's a crazy rule in the rule book, Stephen, about the regional and super regionals. If it rains out a regional completely, the higher seed goes. Even if you start a regional and it gets rained out, the higher seed advances. So they could actually lose the opening game, be down by 6 runs in the 4th inning, the whole thing gets rained out, and the number 1 seed still goes, although they didn't win and they were still losing.
Right.
Crazy to think about. It's going to happen one day. I hope it's not this year.
Yes. So, Heath, on that note, we got to take our first break right here on the radio. And when we come back, we are going to be joined by none other than SEC Unfiltered's Chris Phillips to do a much deeper dive into the tournament. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. And for those of you that are watching on the social media platforms, we wanted to do the opening segment for you guys. That is going to be a new trend that we are going to start doing. And if you would like to hear the rest of the Stingray Show, you can hear us tonight on Tide 100.9 right here in Tuscaloosa, or find us on the Tide 100.9 app and listen on the on-demand. We will be on at 6 o'clock with Chris Phillips. Heath, any final words before we sign off here on social media?
Yeah, you forgot the most important thing. Check out the podcast. Go to Spotify. You forgot that one, buddy. Go to Spotify, check it out. You can also check it out on Apple Podcasts, The Stingray Show, and we have a ton of great SEC content on there. And if you're a wrestling fan, we've got some Hall of Famers, more than one, more than a handful, that have joined us in the past. So check that out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, The Stingray Show.
Dude, what would I do without you to help me, my co-host?
Fall completely apart and be miserable and terrible.
Guys, all of you watching, hope you guys have a wonderful Memorial Day out there, and catch the rest of the Stingray Show this evening on Tide 100.9. And like Heath said, don't forget the podcast.